Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we are looking through the odds of college football championship odds for the 2024 college football season. And I know this is a very early outlook, but it is kind of interesting seeing what teams are already favored to be very high in the prediction and people's predictions on who's going to win the title. It's very interesting to see, and this is by BetMGM. Right now, they have the odds for everything out. This came out a week ago. But it is kind of interesting. But we will go through this, and I think it's interesting to see who they have and what odds, what the odds are for them to be able to make, or especially win the title. And remember, this year is a 12-team playoff, so it's very different than what it actually was the past couple of years, which was 4 teams, and before that was BCS. And yes, I am old enough to remember BCS. I'm not that young, so yeah. But we'll start off at the top, and not a surprise at all. And with plus 350, it's Georgia. Georgia is easily going to be number one. It's number one on anyone's board. I mean, I get it. Michigan won the title last year, but Georgia did have a 29-game winning streak. They've won 2 national title games before then. They were phenomenal, and they lost an Alabama team that was on a roll, very much so, and they just did not play a good enough game to beat Alabama. But now Nick Saban is gone, so the opportunity for them to win is a lot more realistic and a lot more possible. I know you have the additions of Texas and Oklahoma, but you're going to have to play Texas. And yeah, you just need to get in. You just need to get in. That's the thing. Next up, with plus 500, you have Ohio State. By the way, we'll look through the top 10 teams at it, and anything else catches my mind, I will mention it. But Ohio State plus 500, you got some phenomenal transfers. You got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss to be your running back. You got guys like you got a guy like Will Howard to go and be your quarterback, who was really good at Kansas State. And then you got possibly the best guy in the transfer portal the entire offseason so far, which was Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs was looked at as the best defensive player in Alabama when they had Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell and Terran Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry. College coaches were saying, this guy, Caleb Downs, is the best guy on their team. And he proved why for a while. A lot of tackles, very good plays. He had a little bit of a slower start to the year, but picked up a lot in the middle part of the year, and especially later on. Played a good game against Georgia, showed up when he had to, and he was very good. And if this Ohio State defense are the way what it is, with JT Tuimoloau on the edge going after the quarterback, it's going to be tough to stop this team defensively. And this team should win the Big Ten title game. This team should win the Big Ten. Should go undefeated, should have no problem at all. And if they have a problem, if they lose to Michigan, Ryan Day gotta go. He's gotta go. This is the best team Ohio State has probably had in the last 10 years, ever since their national title team. Like, this team, you could argue, I mean, maybe, if you look at overall team, you got a phenomenal quarterback. This team might compete with the 2020 team with Justin Fields that they had whenever they made the national title. That team, and then any team before, pretty much outside the one that actually won the national title game, I'd probably pick this team over them. You have Texas at plus 750. If you don't know betting, I believe this is how it is. It is like, let's say you bet $1 on Georgia to win. Plus 350, that means you will get $3.50 back for that bet if it wins, type of thing. So for each dollar, it's $3.50. That's like this kind of thing here. If you bet $100, you get $3.50 back if you win, type of thing. So that's how odds work in this way. But you have Texas at plus 750. I'm not mad about this. I'm a little bit surprised that they're this high in kind of way, because you did lose Xavier Worthy. You lost guys like that. You do have Quinn Ewers obviously coming back. But you're joining SEC. You're going to get everyone's best game now. Texas is now for real. And you look how they lost last year to Washington. You're going to face teams that can do stuff like that. You're going to probably face teams, maybe not to that level of what Michael Penix could be able to do, but you're going to face teams that have good defenses that can get after the rush and can slow up your run game and can go deep on you. That's what Alabama does now. Because remember, Texas faced a Jalen Milroe that was not good. He was not good. So yeah, remember Texas also has to play Georgia. Gotta watch out for that. You also have to play Jackson Arnold of Oklahoma. Watch out for that. So you have a lot of teams you have to look out for that have explosive offenses for Texas that you got to be able to outscore. Remember last year, Oklahoma did beat Texas. Washington did beat Texas. So it wasn't like offenses were neutralized by what Texas could do. Like even if they went to overtime against Kansas State, Kansas State wasn't a phenomenal team, but they went to overtime because Kansas State's offense was up in the fourth quarter a little bit too much for them. And then Kansas State just messed it completely in overtime. But I wouldn't have Texas that high as a favorite. Uh, eight, yeah, plus 800 now for Alabama. This is the most interesting team out of anyone. Kalen DeBar, how will you fit with Alabama? We will see. So far, it's done the best job you probably could. I mean, you got Alabama fans buying into it. You have the fan base. You have a team buying into it. You have Jalen Milroe still here. You got a lot of good guys. Got a lot of transfers. Got a guys coming from Washington, which was a title team. You got to remember that this is not just like a random school that you're coming from. This is a title team that he had, that he left, and he's bringing guys from that team. So they're going to be good. And I think they'll not be as good as they were last year, as their defense is going to be gone. He lost 4 first-round players on the defensive side, and obviously Nick Saban. But I'm interested to see what they do with their offense mainly, and see how they use Jalen Milroe and all that. There's a lot of good deep balls. A lot of good deep passes were made for Michael Penix, and Jalen Milroe excels at the deep ball. So it'll be interesting what he does there. Then we have a plus 1,000 with Oregon. You have Dylan Gabriel up there. You got Dan Lanning up there as the coach. This is a good team you're looking at. Oregon has had problems not getting over the hump, though. So it's like, I don't know. I really don't know if Oregon. They've lost to Washington the past 3 years. I mean, the past 3 times they've played. That's been the thorn in their side. This is not going to be just a super easy schedule. Remember, they're in the Big Ten now. So it's a lot more defenses, but their offense usually whoops their defenses. That's the thing. They just usually beat up good defenses because this team's really good. But remember, it's Dylan Gabriel now. It's not Bo Nix. Dylan Gabriel. See how he fits with that team and see what he does there. And then you have 2 plus 1,000, plus 1,100, or 1,100, however you want to say it. Goes to Michigan and Ole Miss. Let's discuss both of them right now. Michigan, it's going to be interesting as how Sherman Moore takes over the spot of being the head coach for Jim Harbaugh. My bad. I'm getting my names confused. It's a little bit late. My bad. Jim Harbaugh is going to be head coach for the Chargers. I'm interested to see how Michigan will work offensively, mainly because defensively they're going to have their same sets. Defensively, this is the same guy. But whenever you watch them play against teams like Penn State, whenever this guy was the head coach, they ran the ball a lot. Like, and in essence, not unnecessary, but to an extreme level. Like, we were looking at like 1920s football. They didn't throw a pass in the second half against Penn State, and they won. Can they do that still without Blake Corum, without J.J. McCarthy? Can they do that? I'm interested to see about that. Will they have to change their ways? They probably have to change it a bit, unless if they just have an insane offensive line again, and an even more insane running back. And then you have Ole Miss as the other plus 1,100 team. I don't trust Lane Kiffin teams. That's the thing. I don't trust Lane Kiffin teams when it comes to championship opportunities. They might make the playoffs. They really might. Like, they would have probably made it this year if a playoff was a thing, a 12-team playoff. But I don't know. I really don't. Because Jackson Dart is good. But you did lose Quinshon Judkins, but you still have Ulysses Bentley. You have the number 1 transfer portal class. But you still haven't proven that you will jump the two teams that have always been two teams that have been in your way recently, which is obviously Alabama, and then everyone's nemesis is Georgia. You've not been able to jump that. You've not been able to upset one of those teams. You finally did break through and beat LSU, which was big, but it's not a top tier school when it comes to. There's 2 top tiers. It's Alabama and then Georgia, and everyone else falls underneath. LSU is like the tier under. That's why it was a big win, because you finally get from that. There's the S tiers up here. That's the Georgia and Alabama. You have the A tier of the LSU, that area. you got up to that A tier now. Now you have to make that jump to the S tier. So let's just see how that goes. Again, Lane Kiffin's offense is always to be good, but how consistently will their defense be? They got to improve there. And it seemed like they did. That's why it's confusing, because I could definitely see this team being really good, but 9-3, I doubt that's going to get you into the playoffs. That's still really good at this conference. So that is, I think there's two more to cover, and then we'll cover the other ones, like the random ones. Plus, speaking of LSU, plus 1,600, LSU. Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not like sold on him, but he has shown really good potential to throw a good deep ball. But you also have to remember this. Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers are not, at least Malik Nabers, he's gone to the draft. I don't remember exactly about Brian Thomas. I think he's also gone to the draft too. These guys are gone. This is not the same offense from the year that we just saw from Jayden Daniels. Garrett Nussmeier cannot run like Jayden Daniels. But this is the thing. If people look at the offense and be like, well, this is not the same offense, I have no chance. Hold up. Remember, it's Brian Kelly, really good coach. He's made it 2 playoffs before. He's made it to a playoff before, and he's made it to the national title game before with Notre Dame. So remember that. He's beat Alabama before, so he's good. So he can do that. But the main thing, this defense was awful last year. This was arguably one of the worst defenses in the Power 5. If they just improve slightly, if they just make an okay defense, this offense could put up 35, and you hold teams to 30, you win. You win by that. It might be by 5, it might be by high scoring, but you win. If LSU's defense could hold teams, if LSU held every team this year, that last year, to just 35 points, I think they would have gone like 11-1. Just by that. Because if you look at their losses, Alabama allowed 42. They allowed 55 to Ole Miss. Allowed 40-something, like 45 to Florida State. They allowed a lot. So they would have at least gone 10-2, which is possibility of making a playoff possibility for a 12-team playoff. So, yeah, and then let's discuss, there's a tie actually for 2,000, plus 2,000. And that is Clemson and Florida State. Clemson, I'm not going to talk much about. No chance. None. They had a good end to the year. Remember, their best win during that span was probably beating Notre Dame. It wasn't like they beat someone insane. Florida State, on the other hand, though, went 13-0. 13-0 in the regular season, including the ACC championship. And then Mike Norvell, and like it seemed like half the team for Florida State just didn't play against Georgia, even though they could have made a huge point if they went out and beat them. And they lost by 60. So this makes people think that Florida State is just like, well, this team sucks. They don't. They have a really good defense. I know they lost guys like that pass rush reverse to the draft, but they still got a really good team. We're going to have a good defense. The quarterback situation is going to be interesting with DJ Uiagalelei there now, but we'll see how he does there. He's a decent thrower. We'll see what they do. Let's see if he can. I think Mike Norvell will be able to fully use his abilities. He used his abilities very well with Jordan Travis. I think he'll do the same with DJ Uiagalelei and the skill set that he particularly has for Florida State. And now let's throw out some other teams' names that I think are very intriguing seeing up here. Also, one thing about Clemson, you don't get transfers. And the one in this generation, in this side of college football, you have to get transfers. And they don't do that. They really don't. I'll point out 3 teams that I thought was interesting seeing them up here. This team, it's not counting one as a 3, but I'm just going to mention them real quick. Texas A&M, plus 4,000. Why are they up here? Why? Oh, here's the other ones. Plus 3,500. Oklahoma. I could see a run. If their defense actually continues to get better with Brent Venables, which I expect them to do. They've had really good spurts of being really good defensively. They have really good plays. If Jackson Arnold can limit his turnovers and actually can become a good, not game-wrecking quarterback when it comes to the idea of wrecking your own team, because, he's thrown 6 turnovers. He had like 4 turnovers against Arizona in the bowl game. That's not good. That is not good. If you can fix that, this team will become really good. And really good fast when it comes to this quarterback situation. And if the offense they run, it's hurry up offense, kind of like how Tennessee is, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be really fun to see how Oklahoma works. But again, he's got to fix that turnover problem. And I don't know how early he's going to be able to do that. Talking about Tennessee, plus 5,000 to be able to win. That's low, in my opinion. That is pretty low for a team that has a Heisman favorite already as a one-time starter. That's amazing with Nico Imalavala. I could tell you everything about this Tennessee team, but I'm not going to go into full detail because you probably don't want to hear about that because I'll take another 15 minutes, and we're already 15 minutes into this recording, so I don't want to do that. But you got a great quarterback heading in. This team put up 35 points as a team on Iowa. That might not sound impressive. Look up Iowa's defensive stats. They don't let teams get over 20 often, and if they do, they're usually a top 10 team, and it's usually on the road. This was matchup in Florida. This was the Cheez-It Bowl. This was neutral site. This is the most points they allowed all year to anyone. So watch out for them. This team's just getting better. They have a lot of important games. They have a lot more of their important games at home. Games like Alabama. You have Florida at home. You have those type of rivalry games at home, which is going to be positive. And Heupel created this offense that Oklahoma uses. So you got to remember that. Dylan Sampson looks like one of the better running backs in the SEC. James Pierce is one of the best pass rushers in the country right now. Had 10.5 sacks last year. His receiving core is getting better. You got a 5-star Mike Matthews coming in. A lot of offensive linemen are returning. And this team just looking like it's going to get better as a group overall. The receiving core, I assume, is going to get better. I would hope so. They need to. That's their mode. They really need to. But they got the number one tight end in the class in the transfer portal from Notre Dame. So it'll be interesting. So I think this team will be able to gel and work together very well. And them versus Oklahoma at Oklahoma will be a very fun battle to see. Let's go Vols in that matchup. But then at plus 3,500, Missouri. They have a school like Miami up here, which I'm just going to completely ignore because I'm not going to talk about Miami because Miami sucks and they will never win another thing as long as Mario Cristobal is the coach. But Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz is a really good coach. I'm not sure what anyone says, but Eli Drinkwitz is a really good coach. Brady Cook is a Heisman candidate. This is a good team. Luther Burton III, amazing. This team is insane. I don't think they're gonna have Cody Schrader this year, but they will find another running back. This guy was like a D2 prospect, and they used him really well. No disrespect to him, he cooked Tennessee to an insane level. But again, this is a D2 guy. Imagine if they get a 5-star, really good 4-star coming out. That's a sophomore. That's a junior right now in college. That can fill in for him and make these type of plays. That'd be really cool to see. And this defense will get better. This defense is taught really better. And they're a team that's getting Georgia's way. They have almost beat Georgia 2 years in a row. They've been very close in the fourth quarter. One time with a lead and another time with a chance to take the lead in the midway and late in the fourth quarter. Doesn't happen often. This team can be really good. Watch out. No one wants to play them. The last time we watched them play, they single-handedly won on the defensive side of the ball against Ohio State. Yeah. They held Ohio State to 3 points. That might not sound crazy to y'all, but holding a team like Ohio State to 3 points in the bowl game is still really impressive. So, yeah. I'm interested to see how this team's going to play, and I'm very excited about that team. I'm happy Tennessee doesn't have to play them. And yeah, that's recapping all that. There's some other teams I just didn't mention, but if you want to check it out, I'll put on the link in the description. And yeah, put on your own opinions and all that. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless y'all.